Hey, this is Russell Dobular sitting in for Jimmy Dore, who is performing in El Paso, Texas tonight. And I'm joined by Keaton Weiss.
Hello, everybody.
Cousin to Barry Weiss, as we will discuss later. All right, yeah. So they don't get along.
No.
So, backlash against Texas governor after he sends troopers on horseback into Gaza protest on campus. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has been accused of going too far with crackdowns on college pro-Palestine protesters. Up to 100 state troopers, including some on horseback, were called in to stop demonstrations at the University of Texas at Austin on Wednesday. Students are demanding that the college divest from manufacturers supplying weapons to Israel, a call that's been echoed on campuses nationwide. Universities from New York to California have staged similar pro-Palestine demonstrations in recent days. Quote, arrests being made right now and will continue until the crowd disperses. These protesters belong in jail. That's your Republican Governor Abbott there on X. Dozens of people were arrested at the protest that had been organized by the university's Palestinian Solidarity Committee. One photographer covering the demonstration for TV station Fox 7 Austin was in the push and pull when an officer yanked him backwards to the ground, video shows. The station later confirmed that the photographer had been arrested. A journalist was also knocked down in the mayhem, and he could be seen bleeding before police helped him to medical staff. The reaction to the protest was met with harsh criticism from Democrats in the state. Today, Greg Abbott's Department of Public Safety has more courage to arrest peaceful student protesters than when an active shooter entered an elementary school in Uvalde, state Democrats said on Wednesday. That's low in that state. Governor Abbott is taking a very political opportunity to enforce his agenda, a very right-wing agenda focused on control, not on governance. Chelsea Collier, a doctoral student at the School of Information and a native Texan who spent her entire academic career at UT, told the Washington Post. So this footage is insane. If we saw this footage in, say, Venezuela, the Western media would be all over it. See what happens in these communist countries? Well, no, it's happening here. Okay, you made a mistake taking down the journalist. So why'd you arrest him afterwards? But we'll see this. This is Jackson Hinkle. Texas cops threw a Fox 7 News journalist to the ground and arrested him at an anti-Zionist protest. Reminds me of how the Israeli military treats Palestinian journalists. So let's see. He's holding a camera. You can see he's holding a camera. You can see it's a professional camera. This is, I think, his footage from the ground.
Who are you with?
I'm with Fox 7.
Fox 7?
Yeah,
what's your name?
Carlos.
Carlos, what do you think of this?
I think it's, they were pushing me, and they say that I hit an officer. I didn't hit an officer. They were pushing. You know what I mean? They were pushing me.
I'm a legal observer. What's your name and date of birth? We're going to send attorneys to you.
Has this ever happened?
No, it's never happened to me. You know what I mean? I was just covering things.
Did you tell them you were the press?
Yeah, I told them that I was the press.
There's got a press pass around his neck.
I was not hitting nobody. Yeah?
I was supposed to cover the Astros game this afternoon. I should have taken that job. Instead, I volunteered to come here.
I expect to get punched around at an Astros game.
I could have been asking the manager, hey, why didn't you bring in the lefty in the 8th inning? Instead, I got this.
When you look at the scene there, where they clearly saw him, both of these segments, we did another segment. This will be clipped separately, but you can take a look at our segment on Emory. If you saw images like that coming out of Tehran, you wouldn't be, would that surprise you? That's what you would expect, right? Oh, they're going to crack down on the protesters. Why are we sitting still for this happening here? This is fascism. You know, recently that movie Civil War came out, and
I thought the exact same thing. Yeah,
yep, created a lot of controversy. Some people took exception to these war journalists being valorized in the film, and I don't think they were really valorized. They were. It was just more about how you have to just photograph and not get involved in the situation.
Yeah, no, it specifically painted them as non-heroic. Like they were not supposed to be viewed as heroes. Exactly. That was the point.
Exactly. Yeah. We're seeing, look, I have one now in New York. That's a press badge. And any cop knows what that is. The guy was holding an enormous camera. So setting aside that they're brutalizing students for exercising their free speech rights, I don't think there's anybody, whatever side of this you're on, who would not recognize that arresting journalists is fascism. Like, if you're not on the road to fascism when journalists are getting beaten and arrested, what would be the road to fascism? And again, this is not under Donald Trump. This is not under Donald Trump. This is under Joe Biden, who we supposedly have to vote for to protect ourselves from fascism.
Yeah. And, you know, this is not too much of a tangent, I don't think, because, you know, we're seeing this on campus after campus. Yeah, like, how do these kids even go back to school after this? Like, how do you even resume campus life? How do you even stay enrolled? Right. Doesn't this just like disillusion you to the whole thing? And a bigger question, which is not answerable, I don't think, at the moment, but maybe it's something we should think about. How do we do like a wildcat takeover of the whole economic system where these bullshit jobs that require 4-year college degrees that shouldn't, how do we make it so they don't anymore? So that kids don't have to do this. You don't have to partake in this fucking bullshit. Because if one of many institutions that has revealed itself for the total scam that it is since October 7th is the Ivy League university, yes, but higher education more broadly. How do we make this less necessary? Because I can't imagine being a kid on this campus. I mean, I'm a college dropout myself for other reasons, but I can't imagine being a kid on this campus going through this and then going back in September like nothing ever happened and cracking over the book and hearing these professors talk to you about colonialism and white supremacy and all this fucking bullshit. Not that those ideas are bullshit, but the way they present them to you is obviously bullshit. If they meant it, then you wouldn't be getting your head bashed in by the cops. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. This is why many people from different perspectives said this is the end of woke. And it is. Because now you realize what we've been saying. I mean, on our show, we've been saying it a lot. Jimmy's been saying it here. They want you fighting over culture to avoid you actually hitting them on an economic level, on a class level, fucking with their money. That's what they love, you fighting about who gets to use what bathroom. They love it.
Right.
They love it. That didn't happen by accident. It didn't happen overnight. And frankly, at this point, I'm convinced it didn't happen organically. They elevated the most crackpot academics they could find, people like Judith Butler, people like Ibram X. Kendi. They elevated them and pretended that what they represented, which was inherently divisive and demoralizing to any meaningful collective social project, and they elevated them and promoted them as if they represented the next phase of civil rights, when really, if you dig into their beliefs, they are a repudiation of the premises of the civil rights movement. They are an undermining of civil rights, of gay rights, of women's rights. They are an attack on the basic premise of universalism that those movements really relied upon philosophically. And now these kids are finding that out. They're finding out all of this was intended to funnel you into the parts of the system where they needed you to push papers and push buttons and move the levers. Right. And you were never meant to fuck with their money. You were never meant to fuck with their power. And the second something came up that interfered with that, it didn't even take a long time. It took, a couple weeks? A couple weeks. They're out there cracking these kids over the head.
Mm-hmm.
That's welcome to America. Now you know the truth. And now the question is, do we re-articulate what happened last time this happened, which was very similar. The boomers had been raised on the idea that America beat the Nazis and we stand for the right. And then they looked at the apartheid South of America. They looked at us bombing poor peasants in Vietnam, and they realized everything they'd been told was a lie. And a counterculture was born out of that. So does that happen again? And this seems to me, in my opinion, this is why they reacted so fast, because they know what happened last time. They're trying to shut it down before it gets to that point.
Hey, come see us do a live show in El Paso, Texas, San Antonio, Denver, Colorado, Los Angeles, California, May 19th at the Zephyr Theater. That's a panel show with video. Ashland, Virginia, Athens, Georgia, Rutherford, New Jersey, Minneapolis, Ontario, California, Irvine, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.